Hey everyone, welcome to our Asset Management Friday segment of the Passive Income Through Multifamily Real Estate podcast. I'm your co-host, Kyle Mitchell, also joined by Gary Lipsky. This is a new segment that we recently launched. It's focused on educating operators, building better systems, and becoming a best-in-class operator. Also, be sure to check out our Facebook group, Passive Income Through Multifamily Real Estate. All right, today on the show, we have Tim Bratz. Tim, how's it going?
Doing great, man. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on. If you could start by telling the listeners a little bit more about yourself and what you currently do.
Yeah, man. I'm a real estate investor, right? I got started probably the same way a lot of people did, is going through the last housing cycle. Got excited about real estate, got out of college, became a real estate broker because I thought that's what you initially do. And then I realized that there's no money in brokering. You need to be owning real estate. And so I got involved in owning, got into the residential, fix and flip, wholesale, turnkey, property management, bought some vacation rentals, got into some small multifamily, and now my entire focus is apartment buildings. So I have 3,738 units as I'm talking to you right now, with another 400 some closing in the next 30 days. So we'll be a little over 4,000 units, and portfolio value right now a little over 300 million, and it'll be around 375 million when we close on those other properties.
Nice, impressive. Today I want to focus on how you built your team, because obviously team is so important. So tell us a little bit about that, and who was the first hire?
So yeah, great question, man, because here's what I find in business. There's always two types of people. You need two types of personalities to run a business. One is kind of that visionary, more the CEO mindset, kind of like the Steve Jobs, but you need the technical element, which is like the Steve Wozniak, right? And there's always a complementary play there where somebody's more of a visionary, and then there's somebody who's more of an integrator, or like the operator, right? And I think a lot of us, especially getting started, we end up wearing all hats. And it's really, really difficult to kind of hand off some of that stuff as you continue to grow, because you're used to controlling all of it. But what I do know about growth is that it works inversely to control. You have to give up control in order to grow, right? If you want to maintain a lot of control, you will not have growth. It's an inverse relationship. And so, for me early on, the first hire for me was like, man, how do I just get out of my own way? We have 200 employees now, right? But what was the first one? That was the hardest one. I remember going out to a mastermind and being like, I'm stuck in this box. I can't see outside of what's going on. And just it's mayhem. And he's like, the guy who was running the mastermind is like, dude, you just got to hire an assistant. I was like, well, it can't possibly be that simple. He's like, yeah, write down, take a log of what you do all day, every single day. And the stuff that's not revenue generating and the stuff that you don't like to do just became the responsibilities and the job description for an assistant. And I was like, okay. So I go back after that, and I tripled my income. And I already had a six-figure, it was a small six-figure income from the year before. And I tripled my income in the next 10 months from that one hire, because they took all the non-revenue generating, time wasting, and draining activities off my plate. Then I went down the path of, holy cow, every time I have a problem, I could just hire somebody, right? So I started hiring people every single time something came up. And what I quickly realized is the number one reason most businesses go out of business is because of lack of, or having too much overhead, which is typically from having too many employees. And I fell into that trap pretty quickly. I was like, oh crap. And I had to scale back and only have essential kind of employees and grow it in a more, strategic type manner. And so I hired an assistant first, took all that stuff off me. Then, a lot of especially in real estate, this is a real estate show. Like, I don't know if I want to say it this way, but for lack of better terms, like, dude, the property management is kind of like janitorial work of real estate. Like, I hate it. I had a property management company, and I built it up to be one of the largest residential management companies in Cleveland. And it's just like, dude, every time you try to get ahead and you try to make a little bit more money, you have to hire more people. It's a ton of liability. It's a ton of headaches. You're a punching bag for owners and tenants and cities. And you're like, holy cow, man. And so that was one of the things that I'm like, I'm staffing this out. I don't want to do it. It makes no money for me other than just maintaining operations, right? But I'm not able to grow from it. And it's not a revenue generating really activity for me to do in-house. So we started staffing out property management. Project management is pretty easy to staff out. There's a lot of people who understand construction. And then it was like acquisitions. The last thing that I would phase out would be raising money. That's something I just started doing over the past 12 months. So yeah, man, that's kind of the phases that I would go through.
Nice. A lot of great information in there. Thank you. So 200 employees, wow, that's a huge amount of employees. Where are you finding them?
Well, it happens on and it sounds like a lot. You're like, dude, how the hell do you get to a 200 employees? It's every time you buy a building, we have on-site management now, right? So we have on-site maintenance personnel, we have on-site leasing agents, on-site property managers, and then the administrative that can work remotely kind of manages those individuals. So just every time we bought a 200 unit building, we ended up, collecting 8 staff members, right? Eight more employees. And so they either came with the existing building, or a lot of times we're buying distressed stuff. It's undermanaged, it's under improved. And so we got to go in and just kind of clean house, because it's just, it's never works out having somebody who runs some slum lord type property, maintaining them as an employee. So we typically have to clean house and let them go. Sometimes we can maintain some of the management or the maintenance personnel, but usually we go in and we just hire somebody else. What I found is that I'm a really crappy hirer of people, and I don't do it because I don't like doing it. And so then it gets deferred and I could procrastinate, and then it doesn't happen. And then it's more work on my team. So one of the things I ended up doing is I found a buddy who he was a chief HR director for some big investment fund with 1,000 employees. And I was like, hey man, will you do some staffing stuff for me? So we started doing some consulting and staffing and hiring people for a fraction of what a headhunter would charge. And he ended up leaving his job and ended up doing it on a full-time basis. So good buddy of mine, his name's Scott Hannes. He does all my staffing now. So what I found, man, when you grow your team, you got to stay in your genius zone. You got to stay, what is your unique ability? What is your core competency? Because the more you can stay in that zone, you can staff out everything else, and you'll make more money, exponentially more money, just by focusing on what you really, really do well. And so my big thing is I've always been really good at raising money, and I'm really good at the marketing aspect of things. And so I'm kind of the fuel that drives deal flow and money flow and operations for my team. And I focus on those activities now.
Nice. I love how you've got it. You know what you do best, and you rely on your teammates. It's so important. I want to focus on your core team. So not the property management, but your acquisitions, maybe it's asset management, those things. Are there characteristics that you're looking for in those people, or are you looking for like different traits for different jobs?
Yeah. Have you ever heard of DISC? DISC assessment or DISC analysis. Yeah. So that's something that I've always used. There's something that's newer that my HR guy just loves. It's some sort of indicator. I can't remember what the name of it is, but he swears by it. And you give somebody, here's the job. They go and take the test, and it tells you if they're going to be a fit or not. And it answers it immediately, so you don't have to waste your time, because we all have different. I mean, we talked about 2 elements, more the integrator and the visionary before, but there's different types of mindsets. And if you ever watched or ever studied DISC, there's D, which is the driver, which is a lot of times it's like, all I care about is like performance, and they're kind of a shark, and they want to break records. And that's kind of like a Donald Trump is very D, and it can come off as abrasive because that's their personality, right? I is more of a, interpersonal. It's more of like your salesy type person. It's more of your like fun. They're more of like a dolphin and like to hang out and play and like that. You know what I mean? I've heard a book that was called like the four animals, and it was DISC, but it was sharks, dolphins, what was it? Whales and urchins. And so I interpersonal. It's more like I don't know, Barack Obama is more of an I, or George Bush was more of an I type personality, right? Then you got your S's. Your S's is more social and supportive, and that's more like your nurse personalities and more of like a teacher type personality. They care more about helping and making a difference than they do about money or having fun or anything like that. They want to make an impact, right? Those are the whales. And then the urchins are the more analytical types. And those are really data, spreadsheet, engineers, CPAs, people who dive into the numbers, and they're very analytical and data driven. Those are the C's, right? And so when you're building out your organization, you got to know your COO needs to be more of a CD personality, right? I'm more marketing and raising money. I'm more DI personality. and naturally you'll balance each other out. You want somebody in sales and acquisitions who's heavy on ID, right? Your project manager, you want more CS type personalities. If you have an assistant that you're hiring, you want more S type personality. So just knowing where these people fall or where they should fall, and then when you give them that DISC assessment, it doesn't, it eliminates a lot of wasted time, because if that's going to be a driving activity or a draining activity for that individual.
Yeah, good insight. Good insight. So I want to ask, how is your core team? How are the compensation structured? Is it, are they getting pieces of the deal? Is it, bonus at the end of the year? How do you structure that?
Yeah. So I've tried a lot of different things, and I don't know if I have the best situation, but I have a core team of I think there's 7 of us. And so it's me as CEO. I have a chief investment officer who handles all the raising money. He's an attorney also. I have a COO, director of acquisitions, director of project management, director of property management, director of marketing. So I have 7 people on my team, on my core investment team. And I've tried doing everything with commissions and this and that. And one, I don't want to babysit it. And secondly, I couldn't really incentivize, because different personalities, some of them aren't motivated by money, right? So what I've come across is I pay everybody a salary that's enough of a salary where they're not stressed about money. If you have people on your team who are stressed about money, you have to worry about them stealing from you, right? And you have to worry about them focusing on other things or making money somewhere else, and they're not focused on your operation. So number one, I pay them enough where they're not stressed about money, including myself. And it's not a lot though. It's not enough to be content, right? So it's $40,000 to $50,000 a year, depending on your market. California, you're probably gonna have to be a little bit more. But in the Midwest, you can pay somebody $50,000 a year. They know their basic needs are met. They got food on the table, clothes on their back, roof over their head, a car that works, but they're not comfortable, right? And they want more. So what I do is I pay a base salary, and then they get profit share based on how well the overall company performs. So we wholesale apartment buildings. We flip some apartment buildings that we don't want to hold on to long term, and we hold a lot of apartment buildings and refinance and then hang on to them long term, and we do some coaching and stuff too. So we have multiple revenue streams, and everybody has buy-in across all revenue streams because they all get paid based on overall company profit share. And so it's a way that everybody has buy-in, everybody has commitment, everybody thinks like an owner without having to give up equity. Now, 3 people on that team do have equity. My chief investment officer, my chief operating officer, and my director of acquisitions are equity investor, or they're equity owners, and they vested into that. They've all been with me for 5+ years, and they'll continue to vest in to where they can't just take a percentage of the portfolio, and now that I gave it to them, they can't walk away. They have to vest in over the next 10 years to make sure that equity stays. So it's a way that maintains long-term ownership, gives me the lifestyle that I want. Dude, I don't need 100% of the equity, right? I want a quarter of a watermelon, and only to do the stuff that I like to do. I'm at a point in my life where money's not really it. I just want lifestyle, and I want to be able to do stuff that I enjoy doing. I don't want to have friction in my life anymore. And so if I can do things and I can focus on the stuff that I like to do, that I'm really good at, then I'm happier, my wife's happier, my kids are happier, right? And everything else that comes with it. So I like to think I come from an abundance mindset of just, if I find an A player, man, I latch onto them, and I want to make sure that they feel that they are appreciated, and that they have a home that they're going to grow into long term.
Nice. I love it. I'll pass it off to Kyle to finish this off.
Yeah, so we ask every guest this final question. What is your asset management superpower?
Asset management. Well, I know we talked on emails. My superpower is more from a standpoint of raising money and that stuff, but that's not really asset management. I think asset management, what I'm probably best at is building out teams, right? And finding good people, attracting talent, and really painting a vision for where the company's going, right? Like, here's where we are right now, but here's where we're going, and here's the path. And I want you to be part of that path. And I get people to buy in and have a long-term commitment and build a lot of loyalty that way. So I think it's a really, really important piece. And everybody on my team has been with me, the shortest amount has been 4 years. The longest has been 7 or 8 years now. So It's worked out really, really well. We got a great core team, and we can speak openly, and everybody has a good attitude, and we're looking down the road.
Perfect. Well, thanks for coming on the show and adding value on the subject of building a team, which is so important. Today, I learned a couple things. Make sure you have a visionary and a technical person on the team to work on both sides. Giving up control to grow is important, and don't have too much overhead. So, among many other things. But Tim, tell the listeners where they can find out more about you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Connect with me on Facebook. I'm really active on Facebook. I'm kind of active on Instagram and LinkedIn. TL Bratz is my Facebook thing, and at Tim Bratz is my Instagram handle. So connect with me there, or you can go to my website and shoot me a message on my website, which is legacywealthholdings.com.
Perfect. All right. Thanks for everyone for listening in. And if you like this episode, please head over to iTunes or Stitcher. Give us a like, subscribe, and review so we can continue to grow this podcast. And we'll talk to you next week. Hey, everyone. Thanks again for tuning in. We really appreciate your support. If you're interested in learning more about APT Capital Group and speaking to someone on our team, click on the link and schedule a call with us. We're here to help, and we'd be excited to speak with you and get to know more about you and your goals. Talk to you soon.